things we love and hate about booking hotels.
Welcome to Vacation Mavens, the podcast that brings you travel inspiration and practical tips from two moms who know how to plan the perfect trip.
I'm Tamara from Your Time to Fly.
And I'm Kim from Stuffed Suitcase. With over 40 years of travel experience between us, we're here to share our favorite destinations from road trips to cruising, theme parks, and European adventures.
Whether you're planning a family vacation or a mom getaway, we have the tips and tricks to make memories that will last a lifetime.
Tamara, you obviously are becoming like a hotel booking queen because it goes along with your new job as a travel advisor. So I thought today would be fun for us to chat about hotels.
I know. It's something that I love to complain about, too. The little pet peeves that I have when I go into a hotel, even when I was just in Turks and Caicos and like viewing all these different properties, I'm like, oh, why do they all want to do that? And it was funny because one of the people that I was with was like, oh, look at all that natural light in the bathroom. I love that it's open. And I'm like, I hate that it's
We all know, everyone,
Yeah.
I would say everyone who's been listening for a while knows that Tamara absolutely hates glass door bathrooms. So,
Yes. And
yeah.
just, I have to get up and use the bathroom in the night. I don't want to wake everybody up with turning on the lights when everything is, I don't know. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. And the only thing you can really do about that is just look at the photos.
Yeah.
But I think today we just want to go through some of our things to look out for. Not all of them you can prevent. Some of them you can. And then just some general guidelines on like when you're booking hotels, certain things to look for, depending on the kind of trip it is too.
Yeah. And everyone give you a heads up, like this may be a funny and also a bit vengeful of a post. So hopefully we don't get you too drama and you'll just smile and laugh along with us as we bring up the things we love and hate about hotels.
Hopefully you'll be like, yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah. I will bring up here, I'll just kick us off. Something I hate about hotels is like I am into sustainability and all of that. But you travel with, especially if you're traveling with a family or another person, you're not a solo traveler. Why do they not have more hooks on the bathrooms? And then why do you hang up your towel and then they still take it down and give you new towels anyways? So.
This is definitely going to turn into just a complaining session because the sustainability thing drives me nuts. So you have the towel thing for sure. I don't know. I'm always like, did you fold the same towel and put it back and now it's going to be all wet and smelly?
Yeah.
Or did you take it even though I told you not to take it? It drives me crazy. The other thing I hate is when you walk in and the TV is on. I'm like,
All
how
the
many
time now.
hours have these TVs been on?
Using electricity.
Yeah, like why
Yes.
do that? I don't need my welcome to room whatever Tamara. I can turn it on myself. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy because then you're going around and trying to turn everything off. And then my other thing with sustainability is why does everyone not have a bottle refill station?
Yes. You can go to the gym. That's what you always have to do, right?
That's
That's the trip.
Yeah.
That's the tip. Go to the gym. Sorry. But yeah, I agree.
I was just in
Yep.
Turks and Caicos and they gave us bottles of water in the room, but I drink a lot, especially at beach vacation. I need more. And so they're like, oh, you can ask for more. I'm like, no, I just want to fill my bottle.
Exactly. I don't want you to give me more plastic bottles. I just want to refill the one I brought with me. Yeah.
Yes. So I do find certain brands are better about having that. Like I found like the AC brand, like some of the brands that target more like the millennial Gen Z audience are more focused on some of those things. And I really appreciate it, especially ones where you can go and it's like on every floor. There's a refill
Water
station.
wells.
Yeah. So I really
That's
appreciate
so
that a
convenient.
lot.
Yeah. I will say something gross that I just thought about, and I've never really used it much, but they say not to use the ice in the ice machines. Like those ice machines are never cleaned. So I've heard about it with the buckets, but yeah, so if you ever, because I've a couple times had it where it's a water bottle, and I'm like, oh, I'll just get some ice from the ice machine to put in my water bottle. But supposedly those,
even if it's
ice
like where
machines
you
aren't
push
clean.
the button and the ice comes out. 'Cause
Yeah,
I always
no,
thought
the
that would be
inside
more
up in the
freshly
hop-
made. Okay.
yeah, no, up in the hopper, it never is clean. The
Oh.
big, you know how it's a
That
big
makes
thing?
me so sad.
I know. I'm
Now
like,
I'm
sorry,
gonna
don't
get
mean to
grossed
bust your
out.
bubble.
Yeah.
But some people, it's like the people who don't want to drink coffee on an airplane. They say don't do it because they never clean the water tanks.
Okay.
So
I never heard
take
about
it-
that, but I don't drink
Oh
coffee.
yeah,
so,
I know. That's the thing they say.
Okay.
And some of us still are rebels and drink the coffee on airplanes. And
Or
so I would,
desperate.
so I would say, you do you.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with. But it is something I heard recently, and I'm like, oh yeah, they probably don't clean those very often. But
So what
anyways,
are some of the other things that you can really look out for in advance?
yeah, I was gonna say, why don't we talk about like in advance and the things on property
Sure.
that maybe that we look at? I think number one is location, right? And one of the biggest tips I've had, if I'm not familiar with an area or if I'm a little unsure, is using the Google satellite view, like the street view,
Yes.
and going onto the street where the hotel is and spinning, like looking around, what's down the block, what's up the block, and just getting a vibe for the area, because that's convenient, I think, because you want to know. And also, if you are coming from another car or something, there was one time in New York, that hotel that I stayed at recently. It's tucked in. You can barely tell that it's there sometimes. And I know that I think
Yeah.
Lindsay said she walked by it the first time. But that also gives you an idea of, oh, this is what I should be looking for when I'm walking there or getting there.
Yeah, I've always done that, especially with Airbnbs too.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
just like really wanting to check out the neighborhood. Location is so key. Like location to me is usually more important than some of the other features of a hotel. And I want it to be either, if it's in a city, walkable to the things that I want to do and see, or to public transportation to
Yep.
make that easy if it can be near. And not just like one transportation line, but like a line that actually connects to a lot of things if possible.
Yeah.
So those are definitely really important. And the thing that I will say is seems to be consistent across anywhere that you travel is just don't book near the train station.
Yeah.
The train or the bus station, just that's
Yeah.
not a good area.
It's never a
usually.
good area.
It's never
Yeah.
a good area. Like
Yeah. I think that's a great tip. And again, we're both used to cities, so that would seem obvious to us, but some people might not think about it. Some cities right off the interstate as well, like especially bridges, like areas like that. So the street view is just, I think, a real handy tip to get a feel for where you're staying, especially if you're staying for a little while and you want to really make sure you're in a good area. But yeah, what else? What about you when you're picking hotels? What kind of stuff are you looking at?
I said, it depends on the type of trip, right? Like when our recent road trip episode, we talked about how the convenience of being like off the highway and having free parking and free breakfast, that's really something that you enjoy. Whereas when you're going to a city, say you're going to like Paris, you don't care about that. And you might breakfast, but sometimes that you might be at a place like, I don't know, you're going to New Orleans, you want to go to brunch, like just different, you may or may not, like think about whether you may or may not use some of those amenities. Do you need free parking? Do you
Absolutely
want to have the free continental or whatever breakfast at
or are you going to go out to eat at a cool restaurant?
Yeah. Where you going to experience something a little more local feeling. That makes a difference to me. How long I'm staying makes a difference in terms of like size and comfort. I always I look at the size, the square footage of rooms.
100%.
Because especially if you're traveling internationally or if you're traveling in a city, you have to expect smaller rooms. And just try to get a feel for what that is. Because you think about like around 150 to 200 square feet is like a cruise cabin kind of thing. And like, like moving around, you have a little space around the bed. You have like less storage. So looking up those kind of things in terms of comfort, who's traveling with you, how much space do you need? I think that's really important.
I think that's so good. And for you guys who don't know, a lot of times you can do that. It's under the room details. So when you're looking at a hotel and it's giving you like room options, it'll say like room details. And a lot of times it'll show the square footage there or square meterage.
Meters, yeah.
I know. I was like, what do they call that? Square, I guess just square meters, but it's weird. It's footage, but you don't say meterage.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Side note. But I think it's also handy for comparing room types as well. If you're considering like, oh, you definitely want to stay there, but maybe it's worth, I can pay $10 more a night, but I get this amazing, like I'm getting 50 more square feet. Sometimes that's me. Or you'll be like, oh, this one has a view, but it's a smaller room. And we actually care more about the size than the view. And so things like that. Or if you're comparing two properties, you can be like, this hotel is whatever. And it always makes sure to know if it's two double beds, two singles, two that sort of thing when you're looking at that.
I was going to bring that up, like bed configuration, especially like for families, like to understand the differences. Like some hotels still only have two double beds. I'm like,
New York's
no husband
notorious
and wife
for that.
wants to have a double bed, right? Like it's not enough space. Like if I'm staying like for any length of time, I don't even want a queen. I want a king. Like I need that to sleep. But so look at that and understand that when you're going internationally, I think there's still an expectation that you're going to find rooms with two doubles or two queens. And that is really hard to likely you're going to have what they call a double bed, which is two twins pushed together, or they're going to be slightly separated to what they call the Hollywood twin, where it's like they're very close, but
you and I have
separate
a couple
beds.
of things like that. We're like,
so
let's hold hands as we fall asleep.
Yeah, it definitely gets a lot trickier to fit larger families. So don't go into it like budgeting and thinking, oh, we're going to all be in one room. No,
I think that's a huge thing too. One of the things I know you and I both have a pet peeve on, it gives me cringes, so this will be a little bit of an event, is sofa beds.
Oh,
Like,
we've had such bad experiences. So
I
things
don't
that we
think I've-
found in them. Oh
I
my
don't
God.
think I've ever had a positive experience with sofa beds. So just
Yeah.
keep that in mind when you're booking a hotel and you're like, oh, it's a king bed and we get to be on a king bed and the kids can just sleep on the sofa bed. And it's like, yeah, that can happen, especially if you're in it's a suite where it's like the bedroom, the sofa bed is in the
Yeah.
living room. But yeah, one, the sofa beds are never comfortable. Like we all know that. Two, they're probably not very clean. And three, most likely they will not be made up. So you're going to be stuck
You're going to be making it
scrounging
yourself.
around trying to figure out if you have bedding. And then the bedding that you find in the closet, I'm always like, is this actually clean?
Yeah.
And so I almost end up calling down and being like, can I please have a fresh set? Like, this doesn't look clean. And then just have them bring in. Again, it's not great for sustainability, but I just don't know what the story is, how
Well, 'cause
long
if
that's
it
been
is-
in the closet.
If it is pre-made when you pull it out, you're like, well,
Yeah.
how long? And like,
Exactly.
do they know? So all of those
Yeah.
kind of things. I will say, like the pull-out couch, especially for our family of three, it
Yeah.
worked for quite a while. But once you have a full-grown body, like it's not comfortable for more than like a night or two.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely, we've found condom wrapper, we've other gross things like, yeah, we're just not gonna be using
Yeah.
that. So
Yep.
definitely something to keep in mind. I do like the Hyatt Place setup where it's a half wall between
Yeah.
the king bed and the pull-out couch. Gives
Yeah.
you that little separation of space. Whenever I can get something that feels like a separation of space, like it helps. And when you have really little kids, if you can get a door that closes,
A door
that's
that closes.
awesome. Yeah.
Especially if you're staying in the place for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because your trip is going to be much better if everyone can have calm sleep. How many of us have talked about, I know we've talked about this in the past when our kids were really little. You're like hanging out in the bathroom while the kids are falling asleep in their bed and then okay, they're asleep, we can sneak out. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that look at the room configuration and what it actually looks like and all of that. I would also talk about, maybe we can talk about accessible rooms.
Yeah.
Because I had that recently in New York. They put us an accessible room and we didn't need an accessible room and I don't like it. Sometimes it's nice because there's more floor space and more room to spread out, but typically the furniture setup is a little different. But my biggest pet peeve is it's like a roll-in shower, and this one just had a curtain. As we were getting ready in the morning, the shower water had gotten the floor all wet, and then you're trying to get ready in the tiny sink because it's New York, and your feet are all wet. Ugh, it was
Yeah. I will
Not
say with
my
the
cup of tea.
accessible rooms, there's different levels, right? Some of them are just like we have a grab bar, a roll-in shower kind of thing. But it's really interesting. Like sometimes when you go online, they're cheaper.
yeah,
But then when you go to book it, you have to click that you need it because they're reserve them just for the people
Yeah.
that do need it. And other times they just put you in it when you didn't request it.
Yeah,
So
we did not
it's
request it,
very,
yeah.
can be very random. What
Yeah.
about like location of room? What do you like there?
yeah. So I am one that I always like. I don't want to be near the ice machine or the elevators.
Yeah.
I really have started being aware of, I don't want to be next to the housekeeping room
Yeah.
or laundry room, but that's harder. A lot of times, even the front desk won't know. They can't, it's
Yeah.
not on their maps. But that's a huge pet peeve of me because it'll be like 6 or 7 a.m. and you got people like slamming the door open with their big thing of laundry and you hear the tumbling. And yeah, so housekeeping, laundry room, no-nos. So those are all big things. And then the connecting room door, which we'll talk about in a minute, I would take almost next to an elevator before a connecting room. But
Yeah. The whole location thing, I definitely like to be away from the elevator too, because I also find people come off the elevator with somebody and they're chatting super loud,
away.
or they're drunk and they're being loud, and it's so disruptive. But then I also will sometimes complain when I'm like, oh great, I'm all the way down the hallway. Because I have usually in my profiles for all the hotels that I am
Yeah.
like a loyalty member of,
Yeah.
that I prefer to be like high floor and not near the elevator.
Yeah.
But sometimes like I have a big heavy bag and it's carpet.
Yeah.
And like the carpet, it's like hard to roll it. I'm like, why do
Yeah.
they have to make? And I understand like it's not as noisy, but I'm like, can't you make it like that carpet that's easy to roll things on?
I know. I swear that when they see those requests, they're like, I'm going to put them at the end of the hall.
Yeah, they're gonna go all the way.
Yeah.
One thing I like too about when you can do the mobile check-in if you're in early, one tip with that is just wait until you know that your plane's taken off and or you're gonna get there and all that. Because once
Yeah.
you're checked in. Like you can't
Yeah.
be like, oh no, now I want to cancel. And so when you do that, sometimes they give you an option to choose your room. I forget which brand or if it's every brand.
Yeah, I
but
think I know Hilton, I think. Yeah.
yeah, especially when
Lets
you
you
can get the
actually
digital
pick on
key.
the floor plan. Yeah.
Yeah, so that you might be able to see some of that stuff. But unfortunately, like you mentioned, connecting rooms. I know connecting rooms are great for families with little kids, but when you are not with somebody in the connecting room, it can be very disruptive. And unfortunately, there's not a good way to get around that except
No.
asking to move.
Yeah, I almost always put in my feed, like in the special requests, I say no. Everybody's gonna do this now, and now my trick's not gonna work. I'm just kidding. I just say no connecting room door, and for everyone, the sound is just horrible. And unless you're in a destination where it's like business conference room, then even the business people are like drinking late and chatting and stuff. The sound just carries so much, and it drives me nuts. And if once I tune into something, I can't I can't
Yeah.
drown it out. So yeah, for me, connecting room doors is a big no-no. So I almost always mention that.
And this is why I love certain hotel chains that are very convenient, affordable, reliable. And I like them, especially for like road trips or like like I said, your Hampton Inn, Hilton Garden Inn, like those kind of places. But they tend to have more of that. And they also tend to be places where when there's
Sports
traveling
teams?
teams, tend to be places where when there's traveling teams running up and down the hallway, screaming, slamming doors, leaving doors
Running
partially
through the halls.
open. I cannot stand that. So at least if you're going to be there just for a road trip, like you might get there late and leave early and it wouldn't bother you quite as much.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind that certain brands serve certain travelers well, and it may or may not be the scene that you're looking for.
Yeah. I would also say something to consider about when you're choosing hotels is do read the reviews. And I know you can't always take reviews. Like there are fake reviews, of course, always, right? But I like to see if stuff is said a lot. And one of the things, I don't know if it's hotels.com or Expedia or one of those, or Booking, where you can actually search the reviews for certain words. So sometimes I'll type in like loud or noisy or walls and see if they're complaining, because I didn't do that on one of our recent college trips, and we were staying at Best Western Pluses, which are supposed to be nicer ones, right? They're more like franchisee, and they were so thin walls. Like it was horrible. We heard everyone walking up and down, and then the person above us, I was sure was going to end up coming through the ceiling. And I just wish, I don't know if I would have searched, but just search for some of those terms about noise levels. If that's something it's something that bothers me, if that's something that matters, or if you want to know like the area, if it's safe, or just be sure to look over reviews.
I always read reviews. And one of the things that TripAdvisor does now, as much as I hate AI, they do AI summaries of the, and you can sort it by the type of traveler you are, to like family or couple or business or whatever.
Yeah.
But it gives you, just if you don't have time to read dozens of reviews, it gives you, a lot of people talk about this and a lot of people talk about that. Some people like it, some people don't. But then if I do pay a lot of attention to those like star reviews, and then going through and reading them. And like you said, if something shows up consistently, noise and cleanliness are my big triggers, then I ditch it. But if you're getting a lot, like you always have to expect that there's going to be complainers, because you're more likely to write a bad review than a good review.
Exactly.
And you can tell sometimes that people are on the same trip when they're all like 6 people complaining about the same experience. And I'm like, okay, you got everybody in your party to talk about how bad this front desk person was.
It's always the weird front desk. My experience wasn't just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. So reviews are really important. And I would also go with, make sure you're looking at the photos, because getting back to my bathroom thing, I know I'm a little fixated on this, but I have a lot of pet peeves about the bathroom. Number one, I hate when it's like totally open to the room, and or even if it has like glass walls or a big open window or something, because it's more to me about the light getting into the room, but then also just privacy. I mean, that one place that we stayed at in Arizona where like you walked in and there was a curtain that could separate the bathroom area from the bedroom, but nothing separated it from the door,
from the entry.
And even if you had the bolt on, like that little lock thing, if housekeeping even opened the door part way, there's a mirror right there that the shower is reflected
I didn't even think
into.
about
and
the
I'm
mirror.
Like, are you kidding me? No, like I don't feel comfortable with that at all. We're redoing our bathroom, and we had to pick glass for the glass door, and they were like, "Do you want it to be this? Do you want it to be clear? Do you want it to be?" And I'm like, "No." I don't know. I'm way too private.
Funny.
But I have that. But also, like there also is another version of bathroom thing where you have the sink outside of the room with the toilet and the shower. Which, if you want to have an extra sink for getting ready, but don't put the only sink outside the bathroom where somebody has to open the bathroom door after using the toilet to go wash their hands. That, like, where is that a good idea? That's never a good idea. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I have
funny.
my bathroom issues and all kinds of things like the storage, like when there's nowhere to put your bag,
Oh,
which is why
that
we like
is.
the hanging toiletry bags that
Oh
we
my
talked about
gosh.
recently, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
where nowhere to put your bag, no hooks for your towels, and why does every single shower leak? Not even the roll-in ones,
Uh,
but I'm thinking about they have those half glass walls
oh
that
yeah.
don't go the
That's
whole
a
way,
Europe. That's a Europe thing,
and then they
especially.
just,
Like it.
I'm
It
like,
sprays everywhere. It's like a wet bath.
and
Like
then you
what?
need
Just
more
make it a.
towels.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard?
That's so funny. My thing is if they have the curtain and the curtain won't like close, and so
Yes,
it
yeah,
like sprays out, and then you have this big. And of course, I'm not gonna just leave that, so I got to use one of the towels,
right.
stick it over in the corner. Ugh.
I've
Yeah.
had so many bathroom floods in my travels.
Yeah.
Kind of
I just had.
embarrassing.
I know in Europe they do the. It's like a third glass
Yeah,
wall because it's not even tall either. It's come like I'm tall, so it's like barely touches my head, and then it only goes halfway to the shower.
right.
And sometimes it has a little 6-inch opening flap or something. I'm like, what do I do with this thing?
Oh, to reach in and turn the
Yeah,
water
to
on or
I
something? Like,
no, I think it's like to help try to stop the slot. Like they
oh,
need to have a certain opening so they can only put. I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
yeah.
No, but one of the things I was going to bring up is, yeah, I was just at the Disneyland Hotel and all of their rooms have different layouts. But I showed my friend, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm a solo traveler because the sink was like, so they have nice holders for the shampoo and or for the body wash and hand lotion and another little thing. And the sink vanity was not even long enough for those that are made for the whole hotel to fit.
Wow.
Like it
Yeah.
overhung the sink just a little.
Wow.
And I'm like, where do you put all your stuff? And imagine this is for a family. It was 2
Yeah.
queen beds. So a family of 4 could stay here. And there's no room to put anything. And then you've got the showers, like the toilet's right in a room that you can barely walk in. And then the shower's right next to it and to the vanity. So I'm like, nobody can store anything in here. So it was really bad. So that's
Yeah.
one of my big thing is my pet peeves is like bathrooms where there's no place to put your toiletry bags.
I'll give you another things I hate about hotels.
Yeah.
And that is like first there was just no outlets or USB plugs or whatever near the bed. And so then we
I already
went
know
the
where this is.
complete opposite direction and making it so complicated to figure out how to turn off all the lights in your room because there's always this thing
Oh,
along the top like near like where crown molding would be or something or above
there's
and
4
the reading
switches.
lights and there's so many and you're like going around the room trying to figure out. I've had to call down to the front desk and I'm not like I know this sounds really boomer of me, but trust me, I am Gen Z and like I am
Gen Z,
technologically
you're Gen
I'm sorry, Gen X and like I'm
I'm like,
very
sorry, Tamara, but
yeah, no, definitely not that. I'm not a dummy.
I
And why
know.
can I not figure out how to turn off these lights? It's ridiculous. And there's always things that are glowing now. So I feel like I need to bring a sleep
Oh,
mask more than I used to
no, but
because
they
there's
make
just so many glowing things in the room.
so here's a tip for that. They make actually stuff you can pack that are like stick-ons for you can do that. But I've sometimes just brought Post-it notes. So I'll stick the Post-it notes on there, but it doesn't always work because they don't always lay flat. But I am inevitably grabbing like the ugly pillows that they still insist on putting on your white bedding.
Yeah.
The accent pillows that you know have been thrown on the floor and then they put it back on your pillow. I hate
Right.
it. I wish I could
Yeah.
hide those during my
Yeah.
stay. Because inevitably I stick them in the closet and they'll still find
And they
them
put them out.
and put them back.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want them. Sorry. Side note there. But I'll use those to lay it against the microwave or the
Yeah.
TV glowing light and all these spots. There's all these glowing lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can buy little stickers that you can. My biggest thing right now is the like smoke detectors on the ceiling that blink.
Yes. It's like a strobe light. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. It's
Like,
so
can we
hard.
not?
Yeah.
I don't know how to protect against that one. That one's
No.
just, I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah. Sleep mask is like the
Yeah.
only way I think.
Yeah.
It
Which me,
is.
I just can't, I can't have stuff like, yeah, sensory issues. It's like, I can't wear earplugs. I can't. That's why I'm sensitive to all this stuff. It's like, it'd be much easier if I worked over my sensory issues.
And
But
definitely bring the portable sound machine if you
Yeah.
can't have things that go
Yep.
in your ears
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you need to. And I've come to
you
the
know
point,
me, I have my app that I put
Yeah,
on my
but
ocean sounds.
even at home now, like I sleep with a sound machine. It's
Yeah.
just it.
I like
I
it.
have so much. This is whole my menopause thing. You'll get there, trust me. But it is so hard to sleep. So I need every single tool in my toolbox to sleep.
Yeah.
And anytime I can like just mask out some sounds, it's helpful. So
I feel like we could all be like babies again and just call it our bedtime routine.
Yeah.
That's a signal to your brain. It's like reading a bedtime book. It's like, I'm gonna put
it
on
is.
the
It
white
gets
noise.
a little not addictive, but where
Yeah.
it is a trigger.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of maybe something. Oh, something to look out for as well, I would just say, and this is kind of going off tangent now, but I was going to say talking about the daily resort fees and things like that to consider because right now, since Mia's about to go to UCLA, I'm starting to realize that all of the hotels in that area charge for parking and charge daily resort fees. And that are significant. And I know Vegas is notorious for this. And I think Miami and some of those other tourist places are as well.
And
but
some are also like New York has such a high city tax too. So,
right.
So those like things combined, like where you're like, okay, resort fee for this high rise city room does not make sense. But yeah, they charge, it can be 60, 70 additional dollars before parking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's one of my pet peeves that I have.
And
even when you're staying on points, some hotels still charge you the resort fee even on points.
Yeah.
I've heard of before.
Stinks. I know that the Biden administration did something to make it that hotels had to show you the full rates.
The transparency.
You didn't even see that until after you're booked or when you're there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still in place, but I really liked when that was in place because, taxes and fees can really up things. And even if there's no way to avoid it, you just want to budget for it.
I agree. Like Hawaii, there's the destination fees and stuff that get added on as well. But I just think the daily resort fees, those need to be part of the price.
I know.
And I think one of the biggest ones that started this was Great Wolf Lodge. Actually, I think that's what the loss. I think that was the government send off. I think maybe, but it was about like how they're notorious for high. Like they make it seem like we're having a sale, $179 a night or something, but then it's a $69 a night resort fee because you get access to the water park or something.
Airline ticket.
Yeah. So I hope that
you can't opt out of it.
No, you can't. It used to be where you'd be like, I'm not going to read the newspaper, so take the charge off. I remember the old days when it was like they'd charge you $5 if you used the pool and read the newspaper, and it's I didn't do either of those, so can you take it off? And they would do it. But yeah, nowadays they're like $30 to $70, and
that there's no opting out, so you're kind of stuck. Those are some good things to look out for. Are there other things that we like about hotels?
Let's talk about some things we like. Here's one thing that's fun. I always love when I show up to a hotel and they've got like a welcome happy hour thing that they do.
Yeah.
It's always makes me feel so nice. So that's something, I don't think they publicize it all the time, but it makes me so happy and I find that mostly at more boutique hotels or like inns.
Yeah. Then we'll do like a little happy hour snacks, or even if they just have their homemade cookies out, and, like all those things. I will say that's one of we had mentioned before, like as a travel advisor, that I have a lot of preferred partners that I book with, and so it's not just Virtuoso Properties, but a lot of others that I can get free breakfast and sometimes a resort credit, and sometimes there's a welcome amenity. Like all of that, just it makes you feel nicer about your stay, and it can save you money as well. And I know I've talked about this before, but I do have a link where if you just wanted to research hotels and book them yourself and still get those amenities, you can do that. So it's on my website, but I'll put the link in the show notes just as an FYI. And it helps me.
And I would say two things that just came in my head. One is, I guess they're both negatives. I know we're supposed to be on positives here. But one would be like, don't be expecting upgrades all the time, especially if you're at a chain, because I've seen so often where people are like, I'm a platinum and I didn't get an upgrade. And there was 12 platinums staying that same night. Just be aware that free upgrades are rare these days. Kind of book. It's almost like expecting free upgrades to business class on flights and stuff. It's almost like just book the class you want that you'll be happy with.
And I know going to the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar, it's like I was able to get everyone within 24 hours of booking upgraded, but they get upgraded one category. So if you booked like Garden View, you can get upgraded to like Ocean View, but you're not getting upgraded to like Ocean Front, or you're just getting like a little bit of a bump. So
nice. Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else. Maybe also, talking about photos, looking at the parking situation. If you are going to have a car, I just stayed when we were in LA, and it was terrifying, the parking situation. And I would have seen it better maybe if I looked for some more photos. I don't even know if it was ever shown, but they allowed like SUV as larger cars to have the outdoor, and I was under the building in this tiny, and it was scary, especially when you're in a rental car and you don't want to have
some of them are super tight, you mean, right?
It was extremely tight.
When I was booking for Hannah when she was driving back across the country last year, I was looking at things like that because I knew that she would be uncomfortable getting into some of these like tight garages. And I've been in some where I was just like embarrassed, but it's taking me like 10 minutes to like, because I'm
Do
so
a
nervous
12-point
about
turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
that's
don't need
something
that
to
kind of
keep in
stress.
mind. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else. What about you?
I think just keeping in mind that there are definitely advantages to joining loyalty programs or maybe booking through an advisor, ways that you can get access to some perks, even if you're not getting them right away. Like you might as, there's no reason to not get your points or get your credit for what you're staying at. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not like crazy loyal. Like I still really love a boutique hotel. And so some places really matters to me to have a more authentic experience than to worry about getting or using my whatever points. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
sometimes will save those point stays for the places that like I have
don't
to
care
stay
as
there
much.
anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to look at it. I also think that, again, maximize your credit card. So if you are paying for it, I have the Chase Business Inc. Preferred, which earns 3 times on hotels. And also look at your bonus categories because I feel like there's always like a 10% cash back. That's the reason I was at Best Westerns on those recent ones because they were running the $50 deal. And then I also had a 10% cash back up to 50. So just look for those kind of bonuses, maximize stuff as much as you can.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one other thing, especially if you're staying at a hotel and this might be controversial, but this is my own opinion. If you're staying at a hotel for a while, I think it's a good idea to plan and pack like $5 bills for the length of your stay. A lot of people like to, if they do tip, they think they tip their housekeeper at the end of the stay, but the housekeepers can change each day and they can vary by floors, they can vary by their schedules. And I personally, especially because I do use the coffee in the room, or if we do have like towels or I shower daily, all that stuff, I just to leave $5. And I feel like maybe they do a little nicer job or they just feel better about cleaning your room then.
Yeah.
So
and it's
that's
so
something.
hard because we're not big on carrying cash these days.
Yeah.
And even if I think, oh, I'm going to go get cash from the ATM before my trip, like if I can make choices, it's the lowest I can do is a 10.
Yeah.
And so having that change, hoarding it for a little while,
Yeah.
the smaller bills is important. Or if you're going internationally, like again, trying to request some smaller bills or some coins.
The front desk, sometimes I'll have a 20 and I'll say, can I get four fives? And
I think especially if you're like for tips, then they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. Yeah.
And I found that some places, I don't really like this, but it is convenient. They have a QR code that you can scan.
Yeah.
And it feels a little, it's kind of like when they leave the tip envelope out.
Yeah.
You know, then you feel like a real jerk if you didn't do something.
I'm torn on that. I like sometimes having the tip envelope, but the QR code always worries me because I'm like, because then they have your name and your information. Like,
well, also, you're like, is it getting to the person that you want it to get to? I do like it a lot, though, for the valet. Like, a lot of times I've been given a slip with a QR code, and then I can let them know that I want my car back, and I can tip them right through the app.
Oh,
and
nice.
So that makes it easier. Although I've also noticed that they start their suggested tip at $7. And I'm like, that's a lot, depending on like where that parking lot is. Yeah. And also, I'm not going to do it every single time I'm going in and out if I'm going out multiple times a day. Like, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to do more like once. I don't know.
Especially when valet is the only option.
Yeah.
That's my biggest pet peeve is it's like there's no self-park option and yet they only have valet and then they want you to tip every single time.
Well, and
sometimes
you're
in and out 3 times a day.
My car's right there. I see it. Give me the key and I'll walk to but when you see them like running through the heat to go to the parking lot that's over there, I'm like, okay, you deserve it. Absolutely. You know?
Yeah. That's funny.
I think that we've talked a lot.
We did.
Hopefully this has been helpful. I feel like we just chatted. So hopefully you guys enjoyed
rambled.
this episode.
Hopefully we made you laugh a couple times. But,
and also made you think of some things for as we enter this busy summer travel season, maybe made you think of some things that you're like, oh, the next time I book a hotel, I'm going to remember that. So.
I would love if you guys shared with us like what your pet peeves or things that you like are. And if you agree with some of ours or not, I would love to hear that.
Or if you have something you love, we need a little love too. So feel free to say, I really love this hotel because this is what they do. We'd love to hear some wins, right?
I know. I need some positivity in my life. Who doesn't, right?
Exactly. Just so you guys know, this is the busy summer travel season, and I am going to be in Switzerland. So we're going to be taking a week off. But please tune back in. Don't think we're going anywhere because we're going to be back at you in another week or so we've got a really fun tips episode coming up. And then we're also going to be chatting about our recap of some of our summer travels.
If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and rate and review on your favorite podcast app, as that helps other people discover us. And if you want to see more, follow me, Tamara, at Your Time to Fly on Instagram and Facebook and all the others. And you can follow me, Kim, at Stuff Suitcase on Instagram, Facebook, and of course my blog.